start our query session, and we have Kunal and than Kunal on the fundamental side. We have Aamar Singh from Angel One. So Amar, coming to you first. The first query is from Satya, and he wants to know whether should he replace his existing investments in SGS Enterprises and PCBL with Timken and Anthony West. What would be your suggestion? He can hold both the shares for the next 1 to 2 years.
He has positions in SGS Technologies, correct?
PCBL he's currently holding. He wants to replace them with Timken and Anthony West.
Okay, PCBL. Yeah, so if I look at PCBL, this is one company he can definitely hold on to his position. Because if I look at the performance of the company has been witnessing significant progress over the last few years, and in terms of the sales growth, it has witnessed almost 30-35% year on year. Profit growth has been slightly on the lower side, somewhere around 17-18%. And if you look at the quarterly performance also, the company has been doing fairly well, and it is expected to do well in coming times. And if you look at the areas where the company is working in terms of carbon black, in terms of specialty chemicals, so these are areas where India has got a big advantage, or such companies have a big advantage going forward, because a lot of such opportunities in terms of manufacturing capability, in terms of exporting opportunities are emerging in India vis-a-vis China. So the company stands to gain from there. So one can look at holding from a long-term perspective.
All right, hold coming in for PCBL. Thanks, Amar, for that view. Kunal, I'm going to come to you. Next query is coming in from Srinath from Chennai, and he's asking if it is a good time to buy the shares of BEL right now, and also wants to know what is the 1 month target for this stock.
So I'm not sure whether for 1 month the stock could be attractive, but I believe a buy and dips approach could be a better approach if you're a long-term investor, because the concern for the stock on the short-term charts is that it's gone through or it started a phase of consolidation. Now, ideally, when you look at the peers for BEL and how these stocks have panned out, I would probably expect that this consolidation could be at least 3 to 6 months for these names, which means potentially there could be a possibility that BEL may remain more sideways, just plateaued around the 300 mark, plus minus 10, 15 odd points from those 300 levels for the next couple of months before we see more trending nature breakouts for many of these names. So I'm not sure whether 1 month could be a sufficient time frame for BEL.
Next query is from Venkatesh from Indonesia. He wants to know 2 to 3 buying opportunities for next 2 weeks. Kunal, any suggestions on that front?
So I think the first one could be Titan, which you can look out for. I think the stock is looking attractive in terms of a potential breakout. The stock has given good recovery above the 200 moving average, so that's something which you can look out for. I would be bullish on the likes of Manappuram Finance. We flagged off the stock a couple of days back. The stock crossing levels of 200, 210, which has been a major resistance for the stock. From the entire NBFC stroke HFC name, I would also be bullish on Shriram Finance. That's another name which you can look out for if you have a time frame of short to medium term.
Okay, Amar, this query is coming in from Anjali from Nashik, and she's bought CESC at 67, and she's asking if it is still advisable to hold this stock, and also if it's a good time to buy UPL.
So if you look at CESC, CESC is a stock, if I look at the overall performance of the stock, really hasn't been too great in the sense that the growth has been tepid. However, having said that, if I look at the stock PE, that is somewhere around 17, 18. And the company is primarily into the business of generation and distribution of electricity. And if I look at the performance of the company on a year-to-year basis, so the company has been witnessing, I would say, decent growth, but not as much as expectations. So one can look at switching from this particular stock. And if one wants to move into the power sector, then Torrent Power is also one stock which one can keep a close watch on. That is also one stock on any correction. That is one stock one can look at.
The next query is from Halima from Bangalore, and she wants to know whether can she make fresh investments into Macrotech Developers. Amar, what would be your view here, Macrotech Developers?
See, Macrotech Developers, if I see, they have had a stellar run. It's primarily most of the real estate companies have had a stellar run, and the good part is that all these major developers, including Macrotech, they have diversified, because earlier there was a point of time wherein they were concentrating only on the luxury segment, but now they've gone across the board, and it is all the three segments which they are catering to. So it's a MIG, then the middle income group and the high income group, and also now the luxury segment. And the luxury segment has been really paying off quite well for Macrotech developers. And if you look at the sales growth has been robust over the last 3 years, almost more or less doubling in terms of sales. And in terms of the profit growth has also been fairly good, around 25-26% profit growth has been there. But you have to understand that real estate is a sector which is very closely tied to two things. One is interest rates and also the money flow. So we'll have to watch out where we see interest peaking and we see a cut in interest rates. So that could be helpful for the real estate companies. So Macrotech developers, from a long-term perspective, yes, one can look at buying on corrections, because you have to understand one thing: markets are trading at record levels. Many of the stocks are also trading at record levels. So going all out in one tranche is never a good idea. So an SIP mode would be a good option to look at, but this is one stock one can keep a close watch on.
Aamar, thanks for that view. Kunal, query coming in for you from our viewer Tina. She's holding BHEL since a price of 275 and NHPC from 83. What's the upside, if any, and would you recommend to continue holding, or to sell the stocks now?
I think you should hold on to both of these names, NHPC as well as BHEL. Both of these stocks are looking attractive, and the good part about the recent trend is that these stocks have completed a phase of correction. Now, momentum is missing into these names, and that's an obvious reason, because these stocks have just come out of a corrective phase. So it takes some bit of time where the stock post a correction gets into a mild consolidation before the momentum picks up. But I believe pretty soon you might see the stocks picking up decent trend for themselves. So I would suggest to hold on both of these stocks.
The next query is from GV Parvati, and he wants to know whether can he buy Ola Electric at current levels. Amar, what would be your view here?
See, if we look at Ola Electric, the company has definitely generated a lot of buzz. And if we go by the performance, the company has to go a long way in terms of turning profitability. But this is a company, I would say I'd not say too much of hype. But yes, the execution is very important, and the scaling up is going to be very crucial if the company is really to succeed. So if that happens, then definitely this could turn out to be a multi-bagger from a long-term perspective. So this is, I wouldn't say a risky trade, but yes, compared to, because since the company is into the red, and the company would take time to really come out of that, and scaling up, as I said, is going to be very important. Also, how it faces competition is another area which we need to look at, because this is an area which has got tremendous opportunity. I would say at least 20x, 30x sort of growth potential is in this sector. So companies which are able to capitalize on the execution part and scaling up will benefit. Ola Electric could be one of them. So yeah, one can look at this stock from a long-term perspective, or maybe adding on corrections as well.
Okay, Kunal, query coming for you from Rudra Goda from Karnataka. He's holding 10 shares of Tata Elxsi, bought at 6,700 rupees per share. He's been holding this for the last 3 years, and now he's asking where can he invest this amount for a short term for 3 to 6 months.
So I think just highlighted few names. For example, Titan is something which is looking attractive for the next 3-6 months. You can look out for JSW Steel from the metal pack. That's also something which is looking attractive at current levels.
The next query is from Rohit from Pune. He's invested in ONGC and currently sitting around a loss of around 3% odd. Should he continue to hold or sell, Amar?
So see, ONGC is one stock which definitely has rallied, but currently we are seeing some sort of consolidation in this particular stock. So ideally, he can hold on to his position. From a long-term perspective, I would say these are levels where we could witness some sort of profit booking in this particular stock. So if it, this is more from a short-term perspective. If it trades below 300 levels, then we could witness some correction. Otherwise, trading above 335, 340 is something which is required for any short-term up move.
Kunal, query coming in from Mathivanan from Chennai, and he's holding HSCL 200 shares purchased at 120 rupees. What's your view over here? Do you track the stock?
So yeah, I do track it, and I think it's a decent chart. I think HFCL, which was earlier very high beta stock, is now getting into a very moderate beta kind of an uptrend over the last 5-6 months. We've seen the stock trending up from 80-85 levels to now 140 plus, where it's trading right now. The best part about this rise for HFCL is that the volumes have been very high, and the volumes over the last 3 quarters, 8-9 months particularly, I think has been one of the best chunk of volumes the stock has seen over the last 5-6 years. So that generally indicates that this is a decent price volume rally or an uptrend for HFCL, and these are the kind of trends which generally see much more stronger upside over the medium to long term. So now it depends on your time frame. If you are okay holding on to the stock for the next 2 years and more, then I believe that there could be a substantial upside even from current levels.
Well, with that, let's slip into a short break and we'll address more of your queries post that.
Hi there, welcome back. Still watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now. Let's keep it going with all the viewer queries that are trickling in. And Amar, this query is coming in for you. We have a viewer, Subramanian from Chennai. He's bought Lemon Tree Hotels at 100 shares at 104.6, and also High Tech Pipes 80 shares at 184.7. What's the view? Should he continue to hold on to these shares, or is it time to book profits now? Amar, I believe you are on mute.
Yes. See, it all depends upon what is his time horizon. Because if one is looking at holding from a 3 to 5 year perspective, then Lemon Tree is definitely one can hold on to the stock, because it's one of the largest in terms of the mid price segment, and the third largest overall hotel chain in India. So there is this opportunity of growth in the company, because as tourism has really picked up in India, both on the domestic as well as the international front, there's a lot of opportunity for companies such as Lemon Tree. So I would suggest that he can hold on to it. If you look at the sales growth of the company, also that's been in excess of 60% for the last 3 years. If you look at the profitability growth, that also has been around 16-17%. So that's a fairly big size, and the way the company has been growing over the next 3 to 5 years, it could be at a different level altogether. So I would suggest that if he has a longer time frame, then holding on to Lemon Tree makes more sense.
Okay, the next query is coming in from Prakash from Bangalore. He has invested 2 lakh rupees on JK Lakshmi Cement and now is sitting on a 10% loss. Kunal, what would be your view? Should he continue to hold this counter JK Lakshmi Cement?
I think the concern is that the cement sector has underperformed, and it looks like that the underperformance could probably continue for some more time. Now, JK Lakshmi Cement, that stock has also underperformed within the entire cement pack as compared to many of the other peers like Ultratech Cement or mid-cap names like India Cement, etc. So I think that aspect could be a good decision to try and move out of the stock. But maybe I think closer to 800, 825 could be a better range. If you get even a minor bit of rally into the stock price, that could be a good zone where you may look to exit.
Alright, Amar, query coming in from Indraneel Bhattacharya from Gurugram. He's been holding Vinity Organics ever since its IPO, and he's holding 1500 shares of it. He's asking if he should continue to hold, or is it time to now sell?
If you look at Vinity Organics, the company has been, if I look at the overall performance of the company, so that has been overall positive. We did see this year, March 2024, profitability had dipped as compared to the previous year, 2023. And sales are also more or less constant. So from that perspective, the growth of the company has not been significant over the past 1 year. But if you look at the last 3 years, overall cumulative, so we see a 20-25% growth in that sense. So this is one company one can hold on to, because earlier I had spoken about that specialty chemicals and organic intermediates these are areas where India has got a huge opportunity, and we could fill a lot of gap from that's emanating from China. So from that perspective, he can hold on to his position. In case he wishes to book some profit, then maybe 20%, 25, 30% is maximum that he should look at. That's all he can look at from a long-term perspective.
The next query is coming in from Ashok Kumar from Mumbai. He wants to buy Zomato and Jio Finance for long term. Amar, would current prices be the right entry point for buying these two stocks, Zomato and Jio Finance?
See, Zomato has been, if you ask me, has been we all have seen it's been a multi-bagger from the lows, and currently it's trading significantly, almost close to its highs. So look at Zomato and all these new age companies, they've been trying to get into the black, because earlier profitability was a major concern. So I think that's what investors are also looking at, how these companies perform. So Zomato has taken that leap, has moved into the black this year. So investors have also been rewarded, and there has been a lot of interest which has come back in such companies. Having said that, Zomato as a business model, as an opportunity, definitely holds a lot of growth potential in the future. So one can look at buying Zomato, but more from a staggered perspective, or maybe from a stock SIP mode. That would be a better option, because this is one stock which can really go places, provided they have their, I would say, the mechanics and the delivery is something which is very important, because this sector is going to again grow significantly in years to come.
Okay, Kunal, a query coming in from our viewer Sanjeev Sinha from Lucknow. He wants to purchase CDSL shares for a long-term investment. He's asking if it's a good idea to do so, and if yes, at what price should he go ahead and make this purchase?
See, I think today, if I'm not wrong, the stock has already gone ex bonus and ex dividend, if I'm not wrong. So I think at current levels also the stock looks attractive. Adjusted prices at 1500, 1530 mark for CDSL. It's done reasonably well over the last, I think 1 month or so, from 1200 to 1500 mark. And when we look at this over the last 4-5 years from the COVID lows, this has been an exceptional multi-bagger. When the stock was almost at 200 to 300 range. 3-4 years back. So it's already done exceptionally well. But a buy and dip strategy could be a better strategy because of the recent run up the stock has shown. So you can maybe start at current levels with a moderate kind of a quantity. But if in case the stock provides any kind of a dip or a correction, that could be an opportunity where we look to buy.
Well, the next query is from Partha. He's a senior citizen from Kolkata. He wants to know whether should he buy Kaplan Point, Tata Tech and Ujjivan Small Finance Bank at current levels. Kunal, any view on these three stocks, Kaplan Point, Tata Tech and Ujjivan Small Finance?
Yeah, so I think Kaplan Point and Tata Tech could be a better buy at current levels. Kaplan Point, of course, has been doing exceptionally well. I think at 1700 plus, if I'm not wrong, the stock is trading. Recently also, I think last week or so, the stock had seen a very strong price volume uptick. Post that, it's gone to a 2-3 days of consolidation. So which means that the stock should be ready for another round of up move pretty soon. So that's something which you can look to buy. Tata Tech also, I think, is coming into a breakout mode. Yesterday or day before, the stock had crossed above its 50-day moving average, moving about 1020 plus mark. So it looks attractive.
Okay, next query is coming in from Satyan from Kerala. And Amar, he's holding 400 shares of Allcargo Logistics at a buy price of 80 rupees thereabout. And as of now, he's sitting on a loss. He has been sitting on a loss for some time. So what's your view here? Should he continue to hold? Can he expect some recovery?
See, if you look at Allcargo Logistics, the company really hasn't performed much in terms of the growth or in terms of the profitability. Because if you look at the June quarter, company has turned around. So because in the March quarter, the company had a loss of almost 12.5 crores, and then for the June quarter, there's a marginal profit of 4 crores. So we can't read much into it. Because there is a lot of opportunity there in terms of growth for such stocks and such companies. Because as we see a lot of exports happening, and as we see a lot of manufacturing happening in India, such companies are there to benefit. But looking at the sales growth also, that's roughly around 7 to 8%. So I would suggest that wait for at least a couple of quarters in this company, at least give 2 quarters or more and see how the company performs. Then it would be a better idea whether you want to exit, because if the company is able to turn around and deliver better performance in the coming quarters, then maybe holding onto the stock would make sense. So wait out for 2 quarters, at least in Allcargo Logistics.
Next query is from Salini from Kerala, and it's for you, Kunal. She bought 150 shares of AB Capital and 100 shares of ADF Foods. Both are currently in losses. She needs the short-term target for both these counters, and should she continue to should she buy more to average it out, or hold the current number of shares that she has?
Yeah, you can hold on to it as of now, but I would probably believe that if in case there is a phase of a dip down into these stock prices, that's a zone where you should look to add. For example, AB Capital closer to that 200, 205 odd range, the stock has seen 2 or 3 retests of this strong demand zone, and from those levels we've seen the stock bouncing back again. Currently it's at 220 plus levels, but I believe closer to 205 could be a very good zone where you should look to average out further. For ADF Foods, the range is closer to 220 mark, which also coincides with the previous 2 or 3 swing supports for the stock as well as the 200 moving average. So I think closer to those support points is where you should look to buy or average further.
Okay, Amar, a query coming in from Mayank Saraf from Delhi. He's been holding 1,000 shares of Powermech at a buy price of 5,000 rupees per share. He's asking for a 2-year view on this stock. What's your outlook?
So if you look at Powermech projects, basically it's into the engineering and construction company, and basically more on the providing integrated services in erection testing and commissioning. If you look at the overall quarterly performance of the company has been doing fairly well, and the profitability growth also over the last 3 years, we've seen somewhere around 15-16%. If you look at the sales growth, that's around 28-30%. So overall, the company has been doing fairly well. So he can hold on to his position. If I look at the stock P, that's somewhere around 42. So one can hold on to this position, but from a long-term perspective. But one at the same time needs to understand that all these projects or all these sectors are primarily very cyclical in nature. So a lot would depend upon going forward as to how the overall economy performs. But one can definitely hold on to the stock at the current levels.
Well, that was Amar's view on Powermech. With that, let's slip into a short break and we'll start addressing more queries post that.
Hi there, welcome back. Thanks so much for still being with us. We're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now. Let's keep it going with all the viewer queries. And Kunal, query coming in from JM Dave. He's holding Hitachi Energy 23 shares at 12,200 rupees. What's the view here, and should he continue to hold?
Yeah, I think it looks attractive. In fact, the stock has done reasonably well. The stock over the last many months has seen a very good recovery, very good price uptrend, consistent volumes. So I think it's a good price where you can look to hold even at current levels.
Okay, the next query is coming in from Ram from Hyderabad. He's holding on to Ease My Trip, and he wants to know, he has around 600 shares at an average price of 54 rupees. He wants to know whether should he continue to hold this counter. Amar, what would be your view here?
If I look at Ease My Trip, again, the company has been doing fairly well in terms of the profitability. And for the March quarter, the company had ended with a loss of almost 10 crores. But the June quarter the company has come back with a 34 crore profitability. And overall, if I look at the sales growth, that comparatively has been tepid, because March 2022 was good to 233 crores of sales. Then March 23 was around 430, but again March 24 has been only 482. So there's been a significant, I would say, the growth hasn't been as high as it should have been, because if you look at the 3-year perspective, sales growth has been 50, around 50% or so. But the last year really hasn't been that great for the company. So we'll have to watch out how the company really is able to manage the growth going forward. Currently, one can hold on to the position. The stock is trading at a fairly reasonable PE of 30-35. So one can hold on to the position. And one should wait at least, I would say, for the next 2 to 3 quarters before taking a decision to exit.
Call coming in for easy trip, but Kunal, next query coming in from our viewer Navindu Sharma from Patna. He's been holding HDFC Life for the last few years at a purchase price of just below 500 rupees per share. He's asking you what is the short to medium term target for the stock, roughly around 2 years if you could help him out, and what's the advisable course of action here?
See, I'll be very bullish on the insurance stocks as of now, because it's for the first time, I think, on a quarterly basis that these stocks have started to show signs of a breakout, and this comes after almost 10 to 12 quarters of sideways consolidation for many of these names. Of course, SBI Life is one of the best performers in terms of price relatively, but HDFC Life, ICICI Pru are also making a catch up for themselves. So my sense is that if you are looking at potentially another 2 years and assuming that this breakout sustains for these stocks, we could be looking at a potential 20 to 30% upside at least for these stocks from current levels also.
The next query is from Balaji from Madurai, and it's for you, Kunal. He's holding around 100 shares of Waaree Renewables, bought at a price of 1700 rupees. Should he continue to hold this counter or sell?
Well, you may continue to hold on to the stock. I think it's done pretty well for itself on the longer term basis. Yes, recently the stock is down 15 to 20% plus, if I'm not wrong. But then on the longer term charts, this still looks attractive. So would suggest a hold.
Okay, Amar, query coming in from Jayesh from Mumbai. He's purchased 2,000 shares of Hindustan Copper at 324 rupees per share. What's the view ahead?
If you look at what price he has purchased?
It's at 324 rupees per share.
Okay. So see, if you look at Hindustan Copper, I would say the company in terms of sales growth has been more or less constant. There really hasn't been much of a growth on the sales side. Profitability, though, has marginally improved. But overall, the company has not witnessed a significant growth per se. It's primarily the metals which rallied significantly, so that gave an advantage to companies like Hindustan Copper. But at the current levels, he can hold on to it because we could witness some pullback in the metal stocks as well. Maybe then he can look at an exit opportunity and move into some other stocks like, for example, Tata Steel from a long-term perspective, or maybe look at Hindalco.
The next query is from Nilkant from Pune. He's holding around 537 shares of Mazagon Dock, bought at a price of 741 rupees. Kunal, should he continue to hold this counter?
Well, yeah, you can continue to hold on to the stock. It's fallen down in the recent past, but I believe that the stock price on the longer term basis, the chart looks very attractive. Maybe these stocks could get into maybe one more round of a last leg of a correction, because we've seen a 2-stage correction so far. Generally, it's a 3-stage correction which we expect into these stock prices. So in case if the stock gets into a retest of the previous swing lows, that could actually be a very good support point for the stock over the medium to long term time scale. So would suggest a hold.
Okay, next query coming in from Shiv Kumar KS from Bangalore, and Amar, he's holding a few stocks from the small finance banking space, Equitas, AU Small Finance, as well as Jana Small Finance Bank, all three since their IPOs. Should he hold or book profits, or is there any better option he should switch to? He has the capacity to hold these stocks for the next 2-3 years, so what would you recommend?
So as far as Equitas Small Finance Bank is concerned, this is one bank he can definitely hold on to it, because the growth has been roughly around 18-20%. If I look at on the quarterly basis, we've seen some, I would say, on the basis of the expenses, increase in expenses, profitability has come down significantly for the June quarter as compared to the March quarter. But otherwise, profitability had been quite consistent. So one can hold on to the Equitas bank, and if I look at some of the other banks which he mentioned, so I think he can hold on that as well.
Well, that was Amar's view on Equitas Small Finance Bank, and with that, let's slip into a short break and we'll address more of your queries post that.
Hi there, welcome back. Still watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. Let's keep it going with all the viewer queries. And Kunal, this query coming in for you from our viewer Satya Veni from Vishakhapatnam. He's a long-term investor and he's asking if now is a good time to buy the shares of Karnataka Bank as well as Laurus Labs. And if so, what's the right entry price? And he wants to hold these stocks for the long term. So what would you advise?
So both of these charts are very interesting. Karnataka Bank, of course, I think price-wise looks attractive at 220 plus levels. where it's trading right now. The longer term charts has been, in fact, the last 2 years or 3 years of charts have been very encouraging, and the current placement of the stock is also interesting. The stock is almost on the verge of coming back to a retest of the previous support, so the risk reward is attractive. I would suggest a buy on Karnataka Bank at current levels if you're a long-term investor. Laurus Lab could be a bit tricky because the stock is very high beta. I've seen the stock track this over the last many years, and it gets into a swing of 20%, 30% in a very short span of time. And generally on breakouts is where the stock gets into a reversal mode pretty quickly. So I think buying on dips could be a better strategy for Laurus Lab. If you're a long-term investor, you can start at current levels, but I think maybe closer to 430, 420 could be a better zone where you may look to average further.
The next query is from Chandran from Chennai. He wants to know whether is it a good time to buy Oberoi Realty, Motilal Oswal and PNC Infra for the next 1 to 2 years. Amar, what would be your view on these three counters?
Yeah, I would say Oberoi, if I talk about Oberoi Realty, again, this is one quality stock from the real estate sector. So this is one stock one can keep a close watch on and add on to corrections, because if you look at the stock has, or the company has been doing fairly well in terms of the sales growth. It has been spectacular over the last 3 years. It's almost 28-30% growth, and profitability growth has also been somewhere around 18-20%, and it's a significant real estate player in Mumbai, and focuses on office space as well, retail. So this is one stock one can keep a close watch on. And the other stock which you mentioned was?
It was Motilal Oswal, Oberoi Realty and PNC Infra.
Achha. So if I look at Motilal Oswal Financial Services, again, this is one stock one can keep a close watch on, because the company has been doing fairly well in terms of sales growth, in terms of profitability growth. So this is one stock one can keep a close watch on and add on corrections.
Okay, moving on then, Kunal, query coming in from Pritesh Parik, and he's been holding L&T from the price levels of 3,650 for the last 3 months. He's saying that the stock is not going anywhere. What do you think is should be his next step when it comes to L&T?
Well, I think if it's part of your core portfolio on the longer term basis, then you should continue to hold on. L&T is a stock which would probably give you those odd phases of 6 months, 9 months, even a couple of years of consolidation. But then when the stock breaks out of this consolidation, we see a new range altogether for stocks like L&T. I remember a point when the stock was stuck at the range of, I think, 1800 to 2000 for quite some time, and post the breakout of 2000 levels, the stock at one point was just about on the verge of breaking the 4000 mark in the next 2-3 years of the price rally. So that's the tendency for stocks like L&T. So it depends on your time frame as well as your construction of your entire portfolio.
The next query is from Krishna from Bangalore. He wants to know whether is it a good time to enter Poonawalla Fincorp and Elgai Equipment for the next 1 year. Amar, what would be your view?
What's the name of the company?
Poonawalla Fincorp and Elgai Equipments.
Okay, so looking at Poonawalla Fincorp, this is one stock which has been growing quite well in terms of the sales growth. That's been around 30% or so. And it's more of a in the financial space, and it is building a position quite well. And profitability growth has been significant, and we are seeing that the sales have been significantly higher for the March year ended March 24 as compared to the March 23. That's more than doubled. And if I look at some of the other key parameters in terms of the stock P and compare it with the peers, so it is more or less in line with the peers, because if I look at the overall median for this industry, that's around 24-25, and it's currently trading around similar level. So it's not getting any extra valuation. But again, this is one stock one can look at from a long-term perspective. Adding in tranches would be a better idea.
Okay, add in tranches of Poonawalla Fincorp. But Kunal, this query is coming in from our viewer Vidya, and she's asking that after a long time she's entered into profit in Asian Paints as well as Titan. Now you did say that Titan looks attractive on the charts, but what's your view when it comes to Asian Paints, and what should she do? Her average price for Asian Paints is 3,050 and for Titan is 3,500.
See, I think both the charts are looking attractive. Titan, as I mentioned earlier, I think it looks attractive for the next 1 month to even 2 to 3 quarters from current levels. My expectation is that the stock has ended one of the major phase of price correction consolidation, so which means that it should start to trend up pretty well. So it depends again on your time frame. If you are okay holding on to the stock for the next 3 months plus, then I think Titan could be a good hold. Asian Paints, on the other hand, the stock seems to be coming out of a major downward trend as such. But then the stock would also try and face a lot of resistances on the way up. I think 3250, 3300 seems to be the first important resistance for the stock. So what ideally you should do is maybe closer to 3200, 3250 mark is where you can look to book profits on Asian Paints, and then on every 100 point further correction is where you can look to buy back.
The next query is from Rajeshwari from Chennai. She purchased Aditya Birla Finance around 150 shares at a price of 321 for short term. Any targets on this counter, Kunal?
So ABFRL, I think on the short term basis looks attractive. The stock currently is at 315, 320 plus mark. But I believe on the short term basis, I would look out for 335 to 350 as a target range for ABFRL.
Okay, next query coming in from Venkat Rao, a viewer from Visakhapatnam. He's 62 years old and he's been holding shares of HCC, 3,000 shares at an average price of 51 rupees. So, Amar, what's the view coming in on this front?
If I look at HCC, somewhere or the other, the company has been trying to really make up for the earlier losses which the company had witnessed. So I would, if I look at the overall sales, that has come off since March 23, and compared to March 24, the sales have come up by almost 25-30%. And in terms of, so there has been a degrowth in terms of sales, in terms of profitability also there has been a degrowth. So this is one stock one can look at exiting, I would say, because there's not much happening in this particular stock. So given an opportunity, one should exit the stock and look at some better opportunities.
Okay, with that, last few minutes left on the show, let's kickstart the rapid fire round. Then, Kunal, first of all, I'm going to come to you. Viewer coming in, Ron from Mumbai, view on Tata Motors.
I think the best part about the rally is that the stock seems to have come back into a plateau territory. Good time, very quick to exit.
Nagraj is holding 200 shares of Tata Steel, bought at a price of 145. Should he continue to hold or sell? Amar, your view?
I would say Tata Steel, one should hold on to this stock from a long-term perspective. Right. This is one company which has got a significant opportunity.
Right. Okay, moving on. Next query coming in, and the query, the person's asking the view on Patel Engineering and Hudco for 2 years. Kunal, query for you.
Bullish on both of these stocks. I would suggest a buy.
The query is from Kabir Bedi. He's from Punjab. 5,000 shares of BHEL for last 4 years. He's been holding. Should he continue to hold, Amar?
I would say BHEL, definitely one should hold on to the stock from a long-term perspective.
Okay, a query coming in from Neha from Bangalore, making 20% profit in Gillette and Ashok Leyland. Still continue to hold or sell, Kunal?
I think it's best to trail your stop losses and continue to hold on.
The next query is from Neeta from Delhi. She is holding Adani Enterprises, bought at a price of 3,250. Should she continue to hold, Kunal?
Yeah, but keep a stop loss of 3,000, which is the 200 DMA.
Okay, next query coming in from Srinivas from Dubai. He's been holding the shares of Rupa, 550 shares at 390. Good time to continue holding it, or should he book profits, Amar?
Yeah, he can hold on to this stock for at least a couple of years.
Okay, the next query is from Padma. He's a senior citizen. He's holding 1,000 shares of HCC and 100 shares of Balrampur Chini. Kunal, should he continue to hold HCC and Balrampur Chini?
HCC, you may look to book partial profits closer to 50, but Balrampur Chini is definitely a hold.
Okay, Srinivas is also asking if he should continue to hold Vedant Fashion and Dr. Reddy's. Amar, what's your view on both of these stocks?
So if I look at Vedant Fashion, he can hold on to this particular stock, and Dr. Reddy's, definitely he should hold on from a long-term perspective and also add on where given an opportunity.
Alright, well viewers, that sums up our rapid fire round, and that's the end of all the queries we could accommodate on the show. But don't stop sending your queries. We will be addressing them over the course of the next few days. But on that note, it's a wrap on Buy Now, Sell Now. Thank you so much for watching.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.